Continuing on in these 12-part series of Self-Publishing with Dale, where I cover everything that I know within the self-publishing business, within the context, of course, my current series of Self-Publishing with Books, Self-Publishing with Dale, in my book series. Easy for me to say sometimes. I'm so stinking excited about it because I just released book 6, which is Wide Publishing for Authors. That's another story for another day, because today we're going to be talking about the new rules of marketing in 2025. If you are an author, you're going to want to make sure you want to stay tuned to today's podcast. Are you ready to take your book to the next level? For the past few years, I've relied on Book Award Pro to help me secure targeted book awards and get my work into the hands of readers who matter. With Book Award Pro, you can skip the endless research and guesswork. They match your book with the perfect award opportunities and even handle submissions on any of the plans with a new boost option. By the way, the boost option, it's awesome. I love it. Don't have to do any of the work. They do it. Sign me up. Whether you're just starting out or looking to build credibility with a shelf full of awards, Book Award Pro has a plan for every budget. Their service is a game changer for indie authors just like you. Get started today by visiting my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. Again, that's dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. Your next award could be just one click away. All right, we've got quite a podcast to kind of dive into today. And you will notice that I just said marketing. I'm not going to talk so much about the promotional end of things because, good Lord, I could probably spend the next 5 hours talking about promotion because there's so many things you could do. But for book marketing, we can kind of just really narrow it down. But let's draw a distinction between book marketing and book promotion. Now, first of all, book marketing is essentially the overall strategy to build awareness, attract readers, and sell your book. It includes everything from defining your target audience and creating an author brand to advertising, networking, and long-term plans for maintaining visibility. You know, as I've always said, marketing and promotion, it's about visibility. You see that this further clarifies this right here. So what is the difference, though, between book marketing and book promotion? Well, book promotion is a specific part of marketing that involves short-term targeted activities to boost interest in your book, like running discounts or hosting giveaways or doing a book launch event, or even something like a BookBub ad or Amazon advertising, something like that. So now you know the distinction here, because marketing's kind of like the large umbrella and promotion falls right up underneath it. I want you to kind of think about marketing being like the ability to be visible, you know, the capability of putting your book and your author brand in front of people. That's all about marketing. How does it look? How is it presented? But now it's telling me about the new rules of book marketing. What do those rules mean? Well, I've got 5 solid rules, and if you can kind of remember this and come back to it, it's relatively evergreen. Maybe it'll change in the coming years. I highly doubt from most of these options. But rule number 1 is you gotta focus on this acronym, KCC, meaning keywords, cover, and copy. Let me break down each one of those elements one at a time. Keywords, first of all. I did an entire podcast about this last week. So I think it's probably redundant for me to kind of go back over what keywords do and how they function. Essentially, keywords are the ability to connect your publication with a potential reader. What do those potential readers type in a search query? And what is the content that pulls up? And is your book part of that? And that's where keywords come into play. Keywords can slip anywhere that you want to. Your title, your subtitle, your series name, your description. You can put it on your website. You can put it in editorial reviews. You can put it in your bio. There's so many places. And of course, the 7 backend keywords on KDP. You all know about that. And of course, there's other options and other sites that you can focus on. So you want to make your book a lot more discoverable. Now, the next thing is it's not enough that you make your book discoverable, because keywords don't sell books. They don't. They just make them more discoverable. And when they become more discoverable, and if nobody's buying them, then you've got potentially an issue with your cover design. Now, cover design is the greatest barrier of entry, and I see a lot of authors struggling on this, and some folks that have no budget to speak of. I totally understand that you have to do your own cover design. But there are some relatively inexpensive cover design services out there, and rather than me promoting them, I've talked about numerous ones. Miblart, Get Covers, Dibley's got some great cover designs, 99 Designs. There's so many different types of cover design services out there, and they don't have to be expensive, folks. You know, a company like Get Covers runs about $10 for an ebook cover. Like, that is really inexpensive and very affordable. So just try to save up on your earnings as you start to publish your book. You'll see some sales coming in, but you'll encourage even more sales if you get that cover design locked in. And you want to make sure that the cover design isn't just simply awesome. It needs to be awesome to your potential reader, to the genre. So make sure that you're honoring what elements that are currently being showcased in the bestsellers of your genres, because readers going to tell you exactly the cover design that they like. Sure, I've seen some cover designs and I'm like, that looks stellar, it's fantastic. And someone's like, I don't sell a single copy. And I'm like, well, that's probably an issue. It's probably an issue. So try to dial in your cover design. And if you can, save up some money and get yourself a good premium cover design rather than trying to struggle through it. Now, I know there are some authors out there that are, I'm really good at cover design. If you're selling books, ignore me. That's totally fine. You're probably an outlier. For the most part, I found that indie authors are great at writing, but not too good at cover design. Sorry to say it. And I'm gonna lump myself into that as well. I've done some doozies in the past. Marketing copy is the next thing. I said keywords, cover, and copy. Copy referring to marketing copy, also known as the book description. The whole purpose of that book description is to entice readers to buy your book. It's not to summarize your book. It's not to give an entire summary of what people can expect inside your Werebear Shapeshifter novel. No, it is about enticing them. You need to give them a good, compelling reason to not only part ways with their money, but also a very invaluable and irreplaceable commodity, time. And that's a huge thing. So this is where you can't go too short on this one. You can't put too much time into it. I will tell you this, that a lot of authors out there are getting it wrong. If those three elements are out of place, you know you've got a huge issue. If you're driving traffic, but nobody's buying the book. So make sure you go back and analyze those elements. And if you need help with marketing copy, by the way, through your book description, jump into my Discord community. I've got a lot of really super cool authors that are going to give you some feedback. Is it always good? I mean, that's subjective for sure. I mean, there's definitely been some instances where they've helped me out. So I think they're going to help you out as well. DaleLinks.com/Discord. You want to join my Discord community. Rule number 2, reviews are essential. This has been for a long time. I know. I'm probably telling you this, Captain Obvious over here. Someone's like, yeah, reviews are essential. Of course, we get it, Dale. 91% of customers over on the Amazon platform will scroll and look at the reviews before making a purchase. And furthermore, Amazon recommends to become retail ready that you have a product page, of course, that embraces those 3 elements I was telling you about, keywords, cover, and copy, and you have at least 15 reviews of an average of 3.5 stars or greater. This is going to substantially get you better traction having reviews than not having reviews. 9 out of 10 people are jumping onto your product page. And if you have no reviews, it's going to be harder to convince them. Is it impossible? No. I've sold many books before, and I've even run Amazon ads on some books with no reviews and had some great results. Could they have been better with reviews? Absolutely. So the question is, the $1 million question. Everybody says, okay, Dale, that's great. How do you get reviews? Okay. I'm just going to give you a real quick summary here, because next week on the podcast, I'm going to be talking about getting reviews. So some of this might end up becoming redundant since I'm going to mention it next week anyways, but let me just blaze through them. Very first thing is simple call to action in the back matter of your book. As soon as it says the end or you finished your conclusion, go for the ask. Ask for someone to leave a review. Now that you've finished reading this book, it would mean the world to me if you left an honest review over xyz.com. Provide them with the link if you can. That's a huge game changer. Now, there are some authors out there that are bold, like Noah Kagan. He's the founder of AppSumo. Dude asked 1/3 through the book. In his book, 1/3 of the way through, he's like, hey, you've made it this far. Chances are very likely you're enjoying it. It'd mean the world to me if you left a review over on Amazon or wherever you got this book. That was really cool. It's up to you. Just as long as you're going for the ask, do that and you'll see a substantial change. Yes, app readers like Kindle e-reader, when someone's scrolling through and they get to the end, and it will pop up a reminder. But sometimes people don't quite get to that, especially if you got like a large index in the back of your nonfiction book. Trust me, I know this one here. So make sure that you're loading up that call to action. Some people are even bold to do front matter. Up to you. You can also have advanced reader copy teams. You can also do collaborations with other authors through newsletter swaps. There are premium review services out there like NetGalley, by the way. Save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of money if you go to a NetGalley co-op. Now, I use Victory Editing for my NetGalley co-op, and it was about $500 for the year. I know some people are like, or you can do $50 per month. It's up to you. For me, I bought an entire year because I knew I was going to be consistently releasing books, so it only made sense that I went ahead and got the NetGalley co-op for the entire year and saved on 2 months. Another service is Booksprout. I actually more recently shared an interview over on my main channel about Booksprout. Fantastic service. I've had a good handful of reviews from Booksprout. Love them. They're relatively inexpensive in comparison to something like NetGalley. Now, other premium services you can consider include StoryOrigin or BookFunnel. Now, I'm very biased when it comes to StoryOrigin. Good friends with Evan Gao, who's the founder of StoryOrigin, and that is a great marketing tool for many reasons. But it has advanced reader copy support. You can do newsletter swaps through there. You can make your books publicly available, so that way anybody that's visiting the StoryOrigin website can be able to choose any of your arcs, or if you have any audiobook codes to put out. Love me some StoryOrigin. You also have review exchange websites. Now, I used to be very steadfast against doing these types of sites because, well, review swaps used to be bad. It was when you would have one author communicating with another author, one would give a review of the other's book and vice versa. But the problem is there is bias that's detected over in the Amazon platform when you do something like this. Enter the review exchange platforms like Pubby.co or GetAuthenticBookReviews.com or Book-Bounty.com or Gemsy.io. By the way, that's great for low content books and nonfiction books. Gemsy.io, game changer for those of you folks out there that are in low content and nonfiction. Love what I've seen so far. These are all above board. These are all functioning according to Amazon's community guidelines. I've triple checked every single one of these things, and there's at no point are they violating any of those things. And I even saw a more recent change in the Amazon community guidelines, and I reached out to a couple of these companies, and they instantly switched it over to where they were honoring those Amazon community guidelines, which is a big plus for them. They are also a couple of these platforms, including GetAuthenticBookReviews.com and Book-Bounty.com and Gemsy.io. All three of those are run by authors for authors. So you know that they're not just going to be putting you into a pot of boiling water, because obviously they're using these services themselves and they want to make sure it works. And of course, there are premium editorial services out there. You're looking at the likes of like Kirkus, or I think Blue Ink is another one. There's a number of these editorial review services. I've actually used editorial review services for ebookfairs.com. I didn't put a link to them inside the description. My apologies. Some of these services I've rattled off. It's inside the description, or you can stick around to next week when I go a little bit more granular on some of those items. The bottom line is this: you must absolutely get a consistent stream of reviews for your books. Notice I said consistent stream. I didn't tell you just to go up to 15 reviews and say, "Ooh, deuces, I'm done. I don't need any more reviews. I'm good." No, keep the influx going. So for instance, my book, Self-Publishing for New Authors, was released last summer. I continue to go and get reviews for that. It's not enough that I say, "Oh, you know what, it's 15, I'm good on that one." No, I'm going to keep on pushing that one. Rule number 3, you must pick good categories. And when I mean good categories, you must select categories where your book is most appropriate. I want you to think about this particular question here. Is your book on the right virtual shelf? Now, if we look at something like Amazon's platform, KDP allows you to choose up to 3 categories per publication iteration, meaning that you get 3 categories for ebooks, you get 3 categories for your paperback, you get 3 categories for your hardcover. So you have those particular categories. Now, it becomes a little bit more difficult, a little bit more sketchy when you start to dive into all of the options that are out there. But what I would recommend is, before you choose a category, study the other books that are within your genre or niche and figure out what are they using for labeling. So for instance, if I was putting out horror books, I might look up, I don't know, let's see what placement is for Stephen King or his son Joe Hill, or Nick Cutter would probably be another one. I would look at the categories that they are currently leveraging for that specific publication that would be within horror. And then I would figure out, okay, do my books place in here? And if they do, great, it's fantastic. But if you see that there's just an egregious amount of books that don't relate to yours, it's probably the wrong bookshelf. So make sure you're selecting the right book categories. And I will tell you this, that Amazon KDP, if you happen to be using their platform, they do not mess around. You do not want to choose the wrong category because one, they might deny you, or two, they might get a little fickle about it and put your book to draft, and then you got some real problems. So the other issue you're going to run into is you're going to find some categories don't exist. I know, it's stupid, right? That makes no sense, right? Amazon KDP, I've sent them a message about this, and it's been one of my complaints. Why would you have categories that are not accessible on the marketplace? But they do have something like that. So what I would do, what I would recommend is always double check and triple check the categories that you have researched and select for your publication to make sure that it is live on Amazon's marketplace. Now, a tool like Publisher Rocket will help you figure out what is called ghost categories. Those categories that they give you as an option in your KDP dashboard, but they're not available on Amazon's marketplace, which is just goofy to me altogether. And what I also would recommend is from time to time, and when I mean time to time, maybe annually, biannually, it's up to you. If you want to do it frequently, go ahead, knock yourself out. I wouldn't recommend it. But Amazon changes out a lot of their categories based on relevance, based on what customers are going to, what's going to resonate with them. So from time to time, you will see categories just completely disappear. Now, this is not to be confused with ghost categories, but these categories will be removed, and then they're typically replaced in some other capacity through another browse path of some sort. So make sure that you're going through and double checking your categories. I would say, again, yearly, maybe every other year. You should be fine in that regard, unless you're really, really niche. In that case, you may want to check it at least yearly. All right, rule number 4, search engine optimization for posts, for your product pages. Now, search engine optimization here, a lot of people probably rolling their eyes, or they're kind of going, oh boy, here we go. I thought we were already done talking about keywords. No, we're not. We're not. If you want to become more discoverable, it's not just enough that you go ahead and use keywords, but you're going to need to find the place for them in various aspects so that way your book is more discoverable on the Amazon Marketplace as well as through Google searches. So a few of those avenues include A+ content. Now, A+ content is from the publisher section that's going to be on your page. Now, you won't have that until you set up your first A+ content. To access that, you would go into your KDP dashboard, select marketing, and that marketing tab, scroll down, you'll see A+ content, and you're going to choose the region in which you want to put the A+ content up. Now, this could include images, it can include text, it can include comparison charts, so many things. Don't get overwhelmed. You can have up to what's called 5 modules. A module will be specifically if you're trying an image or text or image text-based content. That's a module. You want to load those up. And the most important thing, this is something I learned through the Amazon Advertising Certification courses, is that the text that's within A+ content is actually indexed. That means it makes your product page more discoverable. So get on top of that A+ content. Editorial review section. Now, this is US only. To get your editorial review section, you can access that through a free Author Central profile. So if you ever tried out Amazon Author Central, highly recommend, take a look at it. But you can insert editorial reviews. So for instance, when I got a bunch of editorial reviews through ebook fairs and Reader's Favorite, I was able to grab a snippet of each one of those. I also gave credit to the source, and I put them inside that section. That section typically falls just below the From the Publisher section for the A+ content, and it's just above the reviews and the product details area. So try the editorial review section, slip those in there, and the most important thing is make sure that when you're putting the editorial reviews, try to cherry pick some of the clips. You don't want to have an entire 3-page description of a review. That's good for you, but it's not good for marketing purposes. You want to make sure that you're grabbing the clips that make the most difference. And don't put any reviews that are already showcased on the website. So if Amazon has a review already posted there, no one needs to read it again. Even if you have thousands of reviews inside that section, you're like, oh, I really love that one. No, don't do that. That's just redundant. They don't like you doing it. Also, I already mentioned it before, organically weave keywords within your copy. Make sure that you have keywords slipped in there. I would say 3, 6, or even more keywords within your book description, depending on how long it is. Obviously, if it's only like 2 paragraphs, you don't want to have 12 keywords just stuffed into there. Make sure it's organic and it makes sense. That way it's not rigid and people are like, what the heck does this mean here? I find it very useful to brainstorm with artificial intelligence, because what I will do is I will create a book description. I will give the keywords that I want to slip into the ad copy, or excuse me, marketing copy, and I hand it over to artificial intelligence and I have it kind of tweak and modify my description. It shoots it back to me. I'll make some adjustments, shoot it back over to it, and then we just try to perfect that. And also one big tip here, and I learned this from Ricardo Fayette over at Readsy through his email newsletter: publish every iteration that you can. This means if you can publish ebook, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook, you're giving 4 product iterations on a single page on Amazon. That is going to increase the likelihood of sale. Let me just give you an example. Me, all right? I love reading ebooks and I enjoy listening to audiobooks from time to time. I'm just not big on paperback or hardcovers anymore. I just want to get rid of all the books off of my shelf because I don't read them. They're more for show than anything, because everything I read is over on my phone, on the Kindle Reading app, or on my tablet. Again, reading the Kindle Reading app. So you can imagine if I show up to your product page and all you have available are paperback and hardcover editions, I'm probably not going to buy. You haven't given me that option. So think about every reader out there. And it's not just, think about Dale. He wants ebooks and audiobooks. No, this is thinking about all of the readers and the spectrum in which they enjoy reading content. So make sure that you're getting all those iterations if you can help it. Rule number 5, I hate to say this one. It's not my favorite rule to say this, but it's a pay-to-play world here, folks. Can you go without spending money on ads or putting your books in front of other people? Sure, but those that have money will travel. Places like Amazon advertising and Facebook ads have earned a lot of money for folks out there, but it's also a money pit for a lot of folks out there because they don't know how to leverage those platforms. So they don't have the right skill set or understanding on how to best use those avenues. Each one of them have proven profitable for numerous authors out there. But the thing is, it took them time, energy, effort, and of course money to learn the whole systems. I would recommend, if you want to get good at Amazon ads, take the Amazon advertising certification courses. It's available inside your Amazon ads dashboard. If you go in the top right hand corner, there's a question mark with a circle around it. Click on that. There's going to be a drop down. It's going to show you a bunch of videos. Click on the videos. It'll take you on over to the certification course area and then just choose any of them. I recommend, if you're new to ads, start with the sponsored product ads. Those are probably the ones that you're going to be using the most. Now, again, folks, anyone with a buck a day can do more than folks without any money to invest in. I know it seems kind of silly, right? You're not going to make a ton of money. I'm going to just admit to you that if you were to do $1 to $5 per day on ads, it's probably not going to rain money down upon you. It just doesn't work that way. But it is putting your book in front of more readers. Am I a fan of having to do that? No, because I just remember back in the day when I just didn't have even a penny to scrape together. So, but that's still another rule here, folks. It's a pay-to-play world. Only invest what you can stand to lose. So, meaning that if you can't afford ads, don't spend money on ads. If you don't understand ads, don't spend money on ads. Understand them first, then invest when you have the money to do that. I rushed through those 5 rules there. But before we do wrap things up with my final thoughts, want your book to stand out? Book Award Pro matches your work with the perfect award opportunities. Skip the guesswork, folks. Start building credibility today. Check them out at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. And speaking of Book Award Pro, it was late last year, that they had just rolled out a new pricing structure and a new, all the perks are changed a little bit. And there's 3 different tiers. They have the free starter plan. Everybody, just enroll your book there. You're going to at least get something that you can kind of play with. There's the Essentials plan, which I've been using a lot more lately because it's just going for book awards. And that's all I really, really want. But let's say, for instance, you want to get additionally some editorial reviews or reviews of some sort. You would want to go on the Pro plan, and it'll give you that. And if you want to Book Award Pro to submit a award or review on your behalf, that is what's called a boost. And it is a significant amount more, but it will eat the cost of whatever it costs to submit for a book award or an editorial review. So that's kind of a nice thing. But again, that's dalelinks.com/book award pro. Here are my final thoughts on the 5 rules of book marketing. Are these rules of book marketing for everyone? Yes, absolutely. And I do not mince words. This comes from experience, working with other experts and working in panels and speaking with a lot of my friends within the industry. These are 5 very, very solid rules. So what is the best first step to abiding these rules? First of all, nail your keywords, copy, and cover. Get those nailed down. Work with other authors within your niche or work with other authors in general. I got a great community. I've already just gushed about it before over on Discord. Come on over there. We talk about all things like that. Get more reviews consistently. That's the next thing. Make sure that the keywords, cover, copy are dialed in. Get those reviews coming in consistently. Next thing is select and monitor category placement because, again, if you're using something like Amazon, their categories will come and go. And you want to make sure that you're placing your book on the right shelf. Also, make sure that your search engine optimization is dialed in. A lot of those elements I mentioned, they're not mandatory, but you may want to consider that so that way you have an edge on anybody else in the Amazon marketplace. It is a very crowded and noisy marketplace with so many authors launching publications every second. So you want to make sure that you get that edge that no one else is using, which is that search engine optimization. And last but not least, invest only what you can stand to lose in ads. If you can't afford it, that's fine. Take a step back, study it, figure out how to do ads the proper way, and invest only when you can afford that. This next week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about reviews. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit more deep on this one. Get 5-star book reviews faster with these expert tips. So I will share all that next week. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll chat with you next week.